All right, I'm going to start the recording. All right, what we're going to do, class, is I haven't even I'm just giving you some sequences. And we're going to find formulas for the sequences. We're starting in chapter 8. For chapter 8, we have to start with sequences. So let me give you a moment to copy the 3 examples down, and then we'll go over the answers. Okay, so sequences. All right, so in math, sequence, and I'm actually reading this right from the textbook, a sequence can be thought of as a list of numbers written in a definite order. So like for A, this is a sequence of numbers. You have the first term, second term, third term, and so forth. And, you know, this sequence here in A, well, some formula generated that sequence. Okay, I mean there has to be a formula to that generates that sequence. Okay, we call it the nth term. So what we do is if we let me go to the next. I mean, you know, let me go to the next page and show you the solution. Well, so maybe before I do that, let me just try something here. So the first term, I mean, so what we're looking for is we're looking for a formula, A sub n. Okay, that's the formula we're looking for. And when n equals 1, that's the first term, right? So we get a half. When n equals 2, we get the second term, 2/3. When n equals 3, we get the third term. But what we want is a general pattern for the sequence. So what do you think the general pattern for that sequence is? Okay, so we're getting, and Felicity, a very good point. We're assuming n starts from 1. We're assuming n starts at n equals 1. For like our first term, the reason we do that is the first term is a half, the second term's 2/3, the third term's 3/4. So if n were equal to 1, I mean, if n starts at 1, what might the general formula be? I think Tina had a nice answer, but I'm just wondering if anybody else. Let me ask you this. What would the fourth term be? If I were to continue this sequence, if I were to continue it, what, a half, a third, 3/4, a half, 2/3, 3/4. Okay, 4/5 is the next term. What's the next term? Good, 5/6. Okay, what's the next term? 6/7. So you have a feel for what this pattern is. I want the general formula that's generating these values of our sequence. So what we can do is, the way you want to do this is, well, the first term, A1, is a half. The second term, A2, is 2/3. The third term is 3/4. And we notice that in the numerator, like the one in the first term, the first term is a half. Well, 1 goes with 1. Second term is 2/3. 2 goes with 2. Third term is 3/4. So the numerator, the number in the numerator, matches the term that you're doing. The denominator, on the other hand, the denominator is just 1 more than the numerator. Okay, so the general term of the sequence, the nth term, is going to be n over n plus 1, where n goes 1, 2, 3, and so forth. So like, for instance, if you wanted to know what the 100th term is, okay, what's the 100th term? Oh, okay, well, it's going to be n is 100. So the 100th term is going to be 100 over 101. Now, you could get there also by counting out 100 terms, but I don't think you want to do that, right? I don't think you want to do that. Are there any questions so far? Any questions? Okay, well, let's do the next one. I think the last one, I think we'll have to wait for next class, but we can do B. So look at this sequence here. Look at this sequence B. What's one thing you notice that's interesting about the terms? I mean, there are multiple things. Okay, that's right, Tina. They alternate from negative to positive, negative to positive, negative to positive. That's called an alternating sequence. Negative 2/3, positive 3/9. Negative 4/27, positive 5/81. What would the next term be, by the way? What would the next term be? What comes after 5/81? Got to be a fraction, right? A negative, good. 6. Oh, wow, good. Good, Tina, good, Felicity. Negative 6 over 243, yeah. Okay. And then the next term, of course, would be positive 7 over what? What would the, I mean, what's going on in the bottom here? What's going on in the denominator? 3, 9, 27, 81. Powers of 3. That's right, Michael. So the next term would be positive 7 over 729. Okay, so you're getting a feel for this. You're getting a feel, and again, you can sort of, again, what's the going to be the, what's going to be the pattern for the sequence? What's the nth term of the sequence, or the general term? Well, let's go to, well, are there any questions before I, continue? Any questions? All right. All right. Well, let's go to the next page then. So again, what I do is I write out my terms. So the first term is negative 2/3. The second term is 3/9. The third term is negative 4/27. The fourth term is 5/81. And I try to relate the numbers, the term number with the the sequence. So I mean, I do have negative, positive, negative, positive, but that can be found by taking -1 to the power of the term. Like, what I mean is, like, the first term is negative. Okay, I could have a -1 to the first power. That'll give me a -1. Second term's positive. -1 squared is positive. Third term, A3, is negative, -4/27. Well, -1 to the third power, if I had that as a factor, that would give me a -1. The fourth term is positive, so -1 to the fourth power gives me a positive. So you see, I can handle the negative, positive alternating sign behavior by inserting a -1 to the nth power in the, as a part. And then in the denominator, it's very clear. 3 is 3 to the first. 9 is 3 squared. Okay. 3 is 3 to the first. Second term, 9 is 3 squared. Third term, 27 is 3 cubed. I mean, you're getting the feel. Fourth term is 81 in the denominator. That's 3 to the fourth. So 3 to the n power will do it for the denominator. And then you got the 2 in the numerator for the first, second, third, fourth term. You have 2, 3, 4, and 5. Well, 1 plus n will handle that. So this gives you then the pattern. And I'm just going to finish up because I know we're a minute over time. Thank you for staying a few extra minutes. Are there any questions on that? It can take time to figure out the pattern. Okay, but I mean, we're of course going to be doing more of section 8.1, but at least we had a chance to introduce it today. Felicity, I understand. I'm curious too about the third one. Well, I know what it is, but I'll tell you what. I'll show you the. I'll tell you what, for the recording, I'll put the answer up, okay? And I'll go over it on Thursday. Okay, so there's the answer in the recording. Okay, there's the answer. It's in the recording. Let me stop the recording. Before I stop it, how many think, and we'll go over this on this last one, C sequence on Thursday. But how many think this is so far kind of cool? Kind of cool. Section 8.1, sequences. It's kind of cool. Okay, Justice likes it. Okay, Kahindi, Felicity. Okay, it's good. All right, well, I'm gonna